Stanford's got a guy who makes a pretty darn good case for himself.
Landry Fields of Stanford. Landry Fields averaging just under 23 points a game. He can knock down three-point shots, a terrific passer. He makes the other players on his basketball team better, and that's all you can ask for of your leader.
You're uprooting yourself from high school, and for me personally, going into a new environment, having to make new friends, build community, being around people that are much different, especially at Stanford, where there's so much diversity, not only in people, but in thought and ideas and just culture. For me, I always thought of it as an incredible process of learning and growing as a human being, because you realize the world is so much bigger than the little bubble that we tend to find ourselves in. And so getting to brush shoulders with some of the individuals at Stanford was extremely positive. It was a great experience for me, and something that I took along the way, I think prepared me sort of a decade here, which I can't believe it's been that long. I think for me personally, the growth and going through different seasons of, I guess you could say, adversity and suffering, and as human beings, we're meaning-making creatures. So we bring meaning to those different stories and different seasons of life. But for me, they ultimately are transformative, and they allow me to grow as a human being. They set my vision to see the world in a much broader sense with a lot more depth, being able to identify with more people, building relationships with people that are different, for me is very important. And that ties into my current role with the Atlanta Hawks, and being able to work with and communicate with a number of individuals, from older folks to younger folks. The whole gauntlet of emotions is on the table all the time, and having to navigate through that space is something that I attribute to having gone through the experiences that I have at Stanford, and then throughout my playing career, and really growing through a lot of those difficult seasons of life and whatnot. So it's been an incredible blessing, a huge growth opportunity for me, and I know that continuing on, I'll continue to do that. I lived in a house my junior and senior year with a few other guys on the basketball team. It was a little bit off campus, and the stories and the fun that we had just spending so much time together is something that I'll always remember. And those guys, have become lifelong friends for me. And just being able to get around them at this particular time in history and always reflect back is fun. I think at the end of the day, it is making those relationships and cultivating them and having them exceed beyond all the times that we've had at Stanford. And that's, for me, truly memorable.
Stanford gets selected. That's just too easy. Hey, everything's in front of you, and then all of a sudden, Fields is behind for his 14th and 15th.
How do you like it, Stanford?
It's going to be what you make it. And I think that presents ownership and responsibility on the prospective student athlete who is considering Stanford, that relationships and knowledge and understanding don't happen through osmosis. Just because you're there doesn't necessarily mean that you're achieving or gaining wisdom by any means. I really think that the best thing you can do is be intentional about what you want to achieve when you do get to campus. If you see it as a 40-year decision, then your intentionality surrounding relationships and who you're building and networking with has to be there. And for any young kid, when you're 18 years old, it's unless you have that personality type, it's hard to kind of get outside yourself and beat down the doors of your professors or your dorm mates or your teammates. But in the long run, it is a long-term investment in doing that. And I would encourage anybody who is considering Stanford or ultimately gets there to really hammer away at that networking opportunity. Getting outside yourself and practically making those steps, I think, is very important. If you're a freshman, find somebody that's beyond you, like a junior or senior that knows the lay of the land. Find a good teammate or a friend that's beside you that you can go through the trenches with, and you have somebody to kind of brush shoulders with as you're navigating this space. It's always better to do that with somebody else as opposed to just alone. And then when you continue to move on, find somebody behind you that you can pass that wisdom down to. And you have this revolving door of just endless culture and camaraderie and chemistry. And I think that that's very important. And I think that that's ultimately what Stanford is about.